feature presentation.
Hey guys, my name is Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I am Krüz.
And you are listening to Sub for Entertainment, a determinedly drunk, geeky, and cheerful podcast where wolves we house in a tree, we entertain, bringing you all latest entertainment news. Sets a lot of communication class talk what's going on certain topics and see how people react to them in certain ways. How are we doing today? We're in November, guys. We're in November. We're finally in November. We had Halloween. Just yesterday.
Halloween.
Yeah, I had burgers.
Basically only on Animal Crossing.
I had burgers, and then I stayed up till like 12:30 in the morning with with a couple of my friends. One of who was playing Doki Doki Literature Club Blind.
Oh God!
And I hadn't seen much of that game myself, and I was. There are some unsettling things in Doki Doki.
Yeah,
Literature Club.
There's a lot of trigger warnings that should be put in the game, but it gets real dark. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite Game Grumps playthroughs because Dan does not like scary games.
Oh, hi Robert. Glad you can join the show. So about this show, it's so interesting.
Hello,
yesterday we had a full moon, and today we realized, we're not also having a full moon yesterday. Well, actually today rather, because it's 2 a.m. But we also daylight savings time. It means we go back an hour and basically we get an extra hour of sleep. Isn't that great? And then
the werewolves got to transform, then got kicked in the dick.
Well, they didn't technically get kicked in the dick. Their night just lasted longer for an hour, which is great.
At one point last night during my call,
you can take that out of context way too easily.
At one point last night during my call with my friends, one of them who lives on the East Coast, it was 11 o'clock, which is 2 o'clock over there. Oh, it's back to 1 o'clock again.
Let's get going!
And then one who lives in Texas, it's like, it's now midnight. It's like, oh, hey, it's 1 o'clock again.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, like it seems to be one of those days where it's just, the time just keeps going by, and then the time just keeps going by, and then we're in November. We're coming across a very, very crucial time in our history, but we'll get to that at the end of this. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But yeah. Anyway,
Kyle,
Kyle,
you're going to need to explain that.
Anyway, S.E.T has been brought to you by Streamlabs. We are a non-profit podcast that we use this as our go-to for bigger. I got my words mixed up. We use this to be bigger and better.
We use this to get bigger
by purchasing equipment or other visual means. Please do not feel obligated. We are not asking for money to pay the rent, but if you have the heart to donate, rather, it is greatly appreciated. So, yeah, we just we have a very, I don't want to say busy schedule, but a very loaded one, most definitely.
They're loaded in weird ways.
We just we had Halloween, we had candy, we stayed up at the full moon, spoops, and now it's finally November, and by God, it doesn't ever feel. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like the time is going by so fast, guys. It's going by really fast. I don't know.
I mean, that's typically what happens when you've had to spend 8 fucking months in lockdown in quarantine.
Yeah, it's like Urinating Tree said this when he saw like there was snow at the Chiefs game or one Chiefs game. It's like I barely had a fucking summer, and now this shit. Yeah. I mean, basically, summer me was spent like, I don't know, figuring out. Like, I graduated from college. Okay, got that squared away. Had to finish classes online, of course. Had to get work underway and scrap together and all that shit.
I want to.
But I will say this about Animal Crossing. The little Jack character of Halloween is absolutely adorable. I love him.
Yeah. So, Naka, how is everything going in school with you? Because,
hey, Tucker, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, the Seahawks must have just won because some fuckholes lit off fireworks.
Oh, Jesus God. Christ.
Yeah.
Well,
every fucking week.
Yeah, I was working at a metalworking place in Florida, and when 4th of July happened, some people were launching firecrackers, and there were 2 guard dogs there, and they were losing their shit. I know how dogs react to fireworks. They absolutely just lose it. And it's very loud.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and start with our agenda.
Hold on.
Something wrong?
It's my dog. He's shaking. He doesn't like loud noises and stuff like that.
Oh, he's a shaky boy. I remember when... Oh, God. Well, I don't know if many people have known this, but my dog Bean sadly had to be put down because she had very problematic intestinal issues. But she was very afraid of thunder and storm weather, and basically, she was shaking like she was at death's door, and you're just like, you feel so bad for her. And you're like, oh, come on, just come here, you little shit.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I know how dogs are.
All right.
Now,
well,
got that queued up and ready. Let's Krüz take it away with visuals with your agenda.
Yeah. Hey, I ain't kidding. All right. Well, I guess it was for many on daylight savings, a long day and a good night. After, I don't know. I just thought of that on the fly. Thought that was funny. I promise I'm funny. Fate's Warning. Long day, good night. This starts off a relatively short week of music news. The new Fate's Warning album, Long Day Good Night, is going to be arriving on November 6th. It is from the progressive metal band. I forgot to mention their genre, Fate's Warning. 2 tracks are currently available. That is Scars, which is the linked song, and Now Comes the Rain. For me, prog metal sometimes ends up flying under the radar, for me at least. I mean, I did catch some recent releases, like, not recent, but the last release I can think of is, of course, Tool and Dream Theater. And before that, Terminal Redux, Redux, whatever, from Vector, apparently they are no longer together as a full band, because it was progressive thrash. I don't remember exactly why, but the full band is not together anymore. But it was a shame because they were very good. And the only band I knew that played in up tuning. They played in standard tuning. They played tuned up from to F, and to make that sound heavy takes talent. From listening to Fate's Warning, I really enjoyed it. It sounds really good. I haven't listened to Fate's Warning until now, which is, again, why progressive metal sometimes ends up flying under the radar for me. I'd known of the band. I think one of the band members is also a member of Armored Saint, which is another band I haven't really listened to. Again, I've been sleeping on some of these bands, not because I don't like them, but just because I don't end up coming across them very much.
Hold on. Ox donated $20. I just like giving nice people money. I need to go into Streamlabs and reread the... So, Ox, thank you for the $20. I just like giving nice people money. You seem nice. Keep being nice, or else I'm going to come take this back.
No, but seriously, thank you for the donation.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate it. And,
Where's the right symbol for this?
Hey, Tucker.
Thank you, friend.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm gonna kind of be mute. About this. I want to get my thoughts out about this right now. Prog metal is one of those genres that I've kind of slept on. I need to listen to more Tool and things like that because that's also prog metal. But I need to take care of my pup real quick for a little bit, so I'm just gonna be muted.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. I will have to say regarding Fate's Warning, I just wanted to say it's an interesting. The track that I listened to is very interesting. I don't know if if it's what I want to listen to. In fact, I listened to all of these. I'll get into that when we get into that. But this track just kind of seemed one of those where it's like, not too sure what to think about it. But at the same time, I do kind of I can understand how some people would really like this kind of sound. So
that's all I have to say regarding that. But other than that,
it took a little because I guess what you're thinking of, some of it sounds like a little bit drony or samey, but then it starts to get good. Again, with me, like, I feel like I gravitate towards more metal that offers more, like, they offer experimental stuff, but they also do it with speed. And that's also probably why I liked Vector's thing more, because that was progressive metal, but also with, like, an intent to be speedy and thrashy. But if things are ready, we have other speedy and scary and dark shit.
I'm gonna be honest.
Coming our way.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really a big fan of this next album. It just, I'm sorry. I hate to put a blow to your metallic soul, but
hey, look. I'm
ready when you are with this one.
I'm not super big on the black metal genre, but I figured at least you'd be happy enough that Aquaman himself is here. Which I think is just a cool thing. Of course, I listened to this just from looking at it on Nuclear Blast. Thanks to them, I found this bit of exciting news. I hadn't kept up with what Phil Anselmo of Pantera fame had done since, of course, Pantera. But he has dabbled in black metal with Scour, and they're set to release their Black EP on Black Friday, November 27th. Doom, not the game. The track is available now and features vocals from, get this, Jason fucking Momoa. Now,
you're one of your favorite actors of all time.
Yeah, he's quickly become one of my more, like, recent favorites. Because I enjoyed Aquaman. I hadn't seen him in many other things. I guess I saw him a bit in Game of Thrones, but, like, not directly. I'd only seen the episodes where he was. I didn't, like, watch it through.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you didn't believe it was a metalhead, well, now here's your proof. I just think it's really cool, more so than the music. And of course, I understand this. Metal, not everyone's cup of tea. Black metal, more so an acquired taste, because here's the thing about black metal. It's meant to be absolutely disorientingly fast with screeching vocals and absurdly distorted guitars. That's what it's meant to be.
Right.
But
that's kind of where I get turned off with black metal personally.
But I will say, Jason Momoa getting some respect from Phil Anselmo, that in and of itself I think is a cool piece of news. I would love to see if Jason Momoa gets more involved with music and see if he isn't part of a band himself, that he maybe gets featured on other things. That would be cool to see. I mean, he is clearly interested in heavy metal, and he seems like a really cool dude. Just from going off of his performance in Aquaman, if nothing else. I probably won't get the rest of this, but I listened to Doom, the song, and still waiting on that Doom soundtrack, Bethesda, because there has been some awesome music on the Doom DLC, The Ancient Gods, so far. Yeah, I just included this mostly because of the news, and I thought Scarfy would be happy about that, but I'm like, it's whatever. Again, the music, I understand the music's not for everyone, but
yeah,
Jason Momoa, it's fucking Jason Momoa. Put some respect on the name.
I love Jason Momoa. I mean, hell, he was in freaking Aquaman, and he's going to be in Dune, and I can't fucking wait for Dune. I can't wait for Dune at all. I can't wait for Dune.
Again, we're clarifying it. Dune, not Doom. There's so many D words going around here.
Dune, Dune.
Yeah, Dune. Dune.
Yeah.
Doom.
I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about Scour, but hey, people like it. I'm just personally not a fan.
All right, well, you know what? This is the end of my fame.
All right, it's time for one more update from...
One more thing.
Fortune, fame, mirror... No, I'm kidding. Go on. Go ahead.
Okay, well... Okay. The album is a ways away, but to pad the runtime for the music section, admittedly, also because I just saw this trailer and I thought it was really cool. A really cool riff.
I need some extra Tucker. Hey,
so this is from...
Okay. Tucker, come here. Under the desk.
Tucker? Oh, is Tucker a scaredy boy?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Tucker's a precious lad.
Hey, it's okay.
Tucker is scared by the demon fire. Granted, the demon fire is probably very scary.
He's more scared of fireworks than demon fire. He does well with fires, admittedly enough.
I mean, as long as the fire is in one place, I think the dogs are okay. But once it starts like shooting off in other directions, it's... I have a tiny little story about a dog, my grandparents' dog after this. But so yeah, you see the content says AC/DC Power Up, which is the name of their new album, coming this November, Friday the 13th. They released on YouTube a trailer for one of their new songs, Demon Fire, which includes about 50 or so seconds of the riff itself, which sounds very cool. It's a little bit more fast-paced. Well, it's more fast-paced than Shot in the Dark. It's one of their more up-tempo songs. AC/DC is probably going to be on the agenda again next week because, if nothing else, it's going to be a reminder. Of course, the album is going to be released that day. And, of course, I was just scrambling to find something to report on. You know, I found Fate's Warning, which was the only formal thing. Scour was kind of like, okay. And, again, this is why part of the reason well, it's not the reason I followed them, but it's a benefit I hadn't anticipated that, like, yeah, I follow these metal labels on YouTube and I find out about new releases that I don't find out from Wikipedia and other sources. So that's cool. But I recommend checking out this little trailer and checking out the music video and the song for Shot in the Dark. This is just a little clip from Demon Fire, and the album. I think that I was wondering if this was going to mean that they were going to release any other songs early. I guess at this point they're probably not going to release any other songs. Yes. Hello, Trabalto. Hotel Trabalto.
Show new AC/DC album. I'm impressed.
Yes, Hotel Trabalto. I hate myself. This probably going to be the last leak before the album actually comes out. But again, I'm going to just have a little note about it next week. But I myself am very excited about this because also related to AC/DC, last night I saw a little bit of the I don't know if it was an interview segment or something. It was just a chat between Brian Johnson of AC/DC and Lars Ulrich of Metallica. And they were talking about Metallica's touring and stuff like that. And they're just going back and forth about old times, memories, and stuff like that. And I thought that was very cool, special to see on TV. It seems like they're good buddies, AC/DC and Metallica. They've toured together before. So that was very cool to see. But yeah, AC/DC new album is coming out very soon. It's so close. I'm very excited for it.
Well, I listened to
We kind of already said our piece about the new AC/DC album when we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I will have to say I really enjoyed AC/DC's new song, especially coming. I think it came out 2 weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to hear more of it because I know that they're still kicking around. Not much else for me to say other than AC/DC. They're a great band. I like what they have to offer. So
we're doing it. Yep. The Power Up is a perfect transition to the topic of gaming. Even though this one doesn't have power-ups specifically, but I do appreciate how the interesting manner in which this trailer was presented.
But first, before we get into the next segment, I'm kind of breaking the no NASCAR rule, but after this weekend's intense set of races at Martinsville, the Championship 4 has been set for all three series. Moving on to Phoenix next week, there will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's going to be a truck race, an Xfinity race, and a Cup race. Your drivers competing for the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series will be Grant Enfinger, Brett Moffitt, Sheldon Creed, and Zane Smith. For the Xfinity Series title, you'll have Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, and Justin Haley contending for the title. And after today's nail-biting Xfinity 500 at Martinsville for the Cup Series, your final four racing for the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series Championship are Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, who won today's race, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano. Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman, and the best driver all season, who had 9 wins, Kevin Harvick, will not be competing for the championship because NASCAR has a stupid as hell football-style playoff system, but that is another story for another day. Now, we're moving on to something a bit unique. My parents just got home, by the way, if you heard Tucker whining, it's because, oh my god, there's somebody at the garage. Well, now, we move on to me with video games, talking about something very new and something very unique in terms of remasters. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. This is the first of its kind in more than one way. Not only is it the first Need for Speed title to get a remaster, it's also the first racing game with licensed vehicles to be remastered, something that we may not see often. When rumors started flowing that this game would be getting a remake/remaster, I figured it was true. This was Criterion's first Need for Speed title, and it shared the same engine as Burnout Paradise. And because Stellar Entertainment did a great job with Burnout Paradise Remastered in 2018, and it did make it on the Switch last year, it made the most sense for Hot Pursuit 2010 to be on the table next. Like I said, they did very well with Burnout Paradise Remastered. It made sense for them to take on another Criterion racing game. And Criterion also being Criterion Studios, not the Criterion Films organization.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Criterion is currently the main studio for Need for Speed. They are working on a title set for release next year, I want to say. Because this will be the release of a Need for Speed game this year. Like with a lot of games that either had these car models in previous installations of their franchises or exist in the files of their games, both the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren 722 edition and Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren Sterling Moss will be absent from the Hot Pursuit 2010 remaster. Why, you wonder? Nobody really knows, to be honest, but a lot of people theorized that it was because Mercedes and McLaren haven't been on the best of terms, but starting for next year's Formula One season, Mercedes is going to be supplying engines for McLaren's Formula One team. However, the SLR McLaren 722 edition appears in the mobile game Need for Speed No Limits. We don't know why. Nobody will at this point. The Carbon Motors E7 is also absent from the game, with the brand no longer existing, and the car never went into production. It never left concept phase. Speaking of cars, all cars will support some sort of custom paint features. Whether that means we're also getting liveries and whatnot, I don't know, but that could be planned in the future. All DLC will be returning to the game, including previously unreleased downloadable content on PC, being the Super Sports Pack, Lamborghini Untamed, and Porsche Unleashed Pack that added in new cars and new events for both racers and police officers. The SCPD Rebels Pack, you could get that on PC, though it's kind of murky how you could get that. Those events are now intertwined with main story events and are no longer separate from like the main quote-unquote story. There really isn't one. You're either playing as a race car or as a racer or a police officer trying to take down racers. And you know, it's 2020. I want to make it evidently clear. This is about police officers stopping criminal street racers and nothing more, nothing less. I want to make that clear because you know, it features the police. Somebody might take that the wrong way and then they'll get mad at us or EA. That is not the point. That is not the purpose of the game. Wanted to make that clear.
No. Yeah, no. Police has been a thing police has been a thing in Need for Speed games since Need for Speed first debuted. So
Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit, but that's another story for another day. That's
another thing that's why you could fuck around in Underground 2 because the cops didn't really do anything.
Yeah, police were planned for hoppers for Underground 2, but they were cut probably because Honda did not want their cars in a game with police officers. Their mindset has since changed, but it's all just stuff for behind the scenes. This is the first Need for Speed title on a Nintendo platform in 8 years, with Most Wanted 2012 also developed by Criterion on the Wii U. However, the Nintendo Switch version will release a week later than the other releases. I don't know why, but okay. Something big and a focus of EA now is cross-platform multiplayer, except for the sports titles. I don't know why. Meaning that all 4 versions of Hot Pursuit Remastered will be able to play with each other online. So a PC player could play with a PS4, and an Xbox One, and a Nintendo Switch player, all in the same lobby. And
so cross-platform.
Yes, cross-platform. Not like the selective cross-platform stuff that, Sony tried to pull with Rocket League.
Right.
Hot Pursuit 2010 Remastered, or Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, as it remastered as it's known by, but most everybody in the Need for Speed fandom calls it Hot Pursuit 2010 because that's what it is. So Hot Pursuit 2010 Remastered releases on November 6th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, while the Nintendo Switch version releases on the 13th of November. And I do want to say, when Hot Pursuit 2010 came out, it's still a fantastic looking game, even though it's 10 years old.
Wow. And the fact I had the Wii version.
The Wii version is totally different.
Yeah, I anticipated that it wasn't one of my favorites to play, but again, of course my favorite was Underground 2 for the GameCube. Since then, it was probably Rivals, which I know that's not super popular, but
if you think about it, Rivals is just Hot Pursuit 2010's sequel. Even though it's made by Ghost Games, not Criterion. The Need for Speed franchise is complicated.
So, Naka, I have a question. What is your favorite racing game of all time? Because because when I think of NASCAR, I always think of Need for Speed. Like, people who like NASCAR obviously must like Need for Speed, but at the same time, everyone is different, and
not always.
Not everyone is different. And I always thought, like, you have Daytona, you have Forza Horizon, you have Need for Speed, so I wanted to know, what has always been your favorite racing game?
Honestly, this has always been a tough one. I want to say Forza Motorsport 4 for the Xbox 360 because I sank so much time into that game. I'd see a couple other options. NASCAR 2006 Total Team Control because you could swap between... Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I love how that sounded. You can swap between draw.
I didn't expect that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just keep talking.
But I just got a notification. I need to make sure. I'm just double checking if inspection's complete. It probably is, but probably NASCAR 2006 Total Team Control because you could swap between your teammates at any point in the race as long as they weren't wrecked out. So that's always a good one. Blur.
And what do you...
Blur, because it's made by the same people who made Project Gotham Racing, which is a fantastic Xbox racing franchise. And it's a licensed car version of Mario Kart, and it's great. There's too many options for me to pick.
And then what do you think about the Need for Speed movie? Because a lot of people say, like, there's a lot of critics who hate that movie because all it is just cars and racing, but that's kind of the point.
That's kind of the point. It's I draw a lot of similarities of that movie to Need for Speed The Run, which was Black Box's final Need for Speed title they developed. Because it's a similar premise. You're trying to race you've got to race across country to, partake in a race to kind of like clear your name and, defeat a rival who's, put a hit out against you or whatever. So I akin Need for Speed the movie to be a sequel to Need for Speed the Run, because Need for Speed the Run's a short game. It's like 4 hours. You could play it in one sitting if you're really dedicated enough.
Yeah.
So it's a fun movie. You know, it's a lot more about the cars, not necessarily about story, because there's not a whole lot of story involved in the Need for Speed movie. Sorry. Yes, Krüz, you bring up that there is Mercedes-Benz in Mario Kart, specifically Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Those are just advertising tie-ins. And also the first Mario Maker. Mario Maker on the Wii U had a Mercedes-Benz crossover thing, but not in 2.
Oh, apparently not.
Anyway, you know, I get to talk about a lot of good stuff this week. A lot of stuff up my alley. And this is another game that I hope does well because Codemasters, I hope you learn from your mistakes with Grid 2019.
God made it and it don't hurt.
God
made dirt and it don't hurt.
Yeah. Personally, Codemasters, I think you guys are doing great in my books. Sure, Grid 2019 was, let's be honest, it was a letdown, and hopefully you've learned from those mistakes and brought more to the table with Dirt 5, aka, it could either be Dirt space 5 and IRT and Dirt is lowercase, or it could be in all caps, no spaces, Dirt 5, like it is in the title up here.
Hashtag Dirt 5.
Dirt 5 is, as you could probably guess, an off-road racing game featuring disciplines like rallycross, ice racing, stadium super trucks, off-road buggy racing, and more in locations like Arizona, Brazil, Morocco, New York City, and more. With a dynamic weather and season system, you can only do ice racing events in New York if it's in the winter months. A cool little detail. There is kind of an overarching story in the career mode, where Alex A.J. Yannick, voiced by Troy Baker, becomes your mentor to help you race against and beat Bruno Durand, voiced by Nolan North, across the championships of Dirt 5. Codemasters also reached out to Donut Media to get James the Kentucky Cobra Pumphrey and Nolan Sykes for a social media tie-in, and the characters will be interviewed on their in-game podcast after certain races, which is a really cool way to go about things and tie things in between, race to race and championship to championship, and I am all for that. Consume Prilosec, but that's another story for another day.
Consume Prilosec!
Creativity is heavily embraced in this game with a livery editor, a photo mode, and a custom arena creator that was, shown off in the summer. Codemasters gave away early access codes to a lot of racing game content creators like Shiny Odd. Congrats on getting verified, being a verified channel on YouTube, buddy.
Hey.
Kuro HS, aka the king of Need for Speed Most Wanted speedruns. And a friend of mine, Mr. Arrow HD, for example, to show off the arena creator and make custom courses. I wrote down some quotes.
I'm reading it.
I'm going to make a dick. Do I make a cock? No, they'll get mad at me. When the game comes out, we're definitely making a penis.
Which one will piss them off less?
We're tubing it up. It's tube time. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wasn't that stupid? No, because it was in a sprint car. Like Shiny Odd's map, you jumped into a maze of porta-potty toilets. Keenan, Mr. Arrow HD, that was like August. It was late August 20 this year. I wrote 2018 for whatever reason, but I meant to say 2020. That's my bad. Also, I'm going to post a link to Arrow's video. I'll post it in here. And Scarfy, this is a note for you. Please have that down in the description alongside Dirt 5 or put it up at the top.
Will do.
Because friends share things from each other. And it brings back a lot of the vibes from Dirt 2 and Dirt 3, and I'm very much about it. Dirt 5 releases for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on November 6th, 2020, and will be a launch title for Showdown, PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X/Series S.
Oh Lord, here we go. So, yeah,
the gloves are off.
It is. So before we get to that, I just want to talk about Dirt 5 just a little bit. It's not my kind of game. It does kind of remind me of that truck game that was like made in the SNES. I forgot what it was called. It's like Road something. Road.
Not
Road something or other.
Like it was something. It was where you like
good
drive
game,
truck.
not my kind of game.
But I forgot.
The one I enjoyed most was Off-Road Thunder.
If someone could please remind me, that would be great. But here we go. It is the fridge versus the Wi-Fi router. Here we go.
And I want to make sure I get these dates right for releases. Xbox Series X release date. I just want to remind myself. So, November 10th and November 12th, we'll see the launches of the latest and greatest that Sony and Microsoft have to offer. The PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and Series S. I want to focus first on Microsoft's offering, as I am kind of an Xbox diehard, but I will get into the PlayStation 5. And unlike fanboys on the internet, I'm not going to tear into the PlayStation 5. Because, it's not my console. This is a show where I shall remain as neutral as possible in the subject matter. So, November 10th, the Xbox Series X and Series S. A bit odd in terms of their naming scheme. The Series S is a cheaper, less powerful, digital-only model of the Series X, which is aimed at, and it's more aimed at people who want to play the new games but don't need 8K graphics. With the Series S being $200 cheaper, it's less powerful in terms of its AMD CPU, 3.6 gigahertz at its main speed, 3.4 with simultaneous multi-thread versus 3.8 and 3.6 with simultaneous multi-thread for the Series X. And the GPU units, less cores overall and overall gigahertz speed than the Series X's AMD GPU, has less storage before the use of the solid-state drive-based storage expansion cards, and is digital only. If you're only looking to use services like Project xCloud and Game Pass and don't have any physical media, then this is probably what you're looking for. It's a lot smaller overall than the Series X, which is basically a small fridge that Microsoft has embraced the memes of, including making a contest where you retweet a tweet that they put out with like a hashtag. It's like they made a fucking fridge.
There is a real fridge.
There are real refrigerators that Microsoft has commissioned whatever fridge
company. I love refrigerators.
So sometimes the best way to advertise a console is basically to make fun of yourself, and that's what they decided. Yeah. They decided to
embrace the meme.
The Series S and Series X are the same height at 5.9 inches or 15.1 centimeters if you don't use Freedom units. Microsoft did confirm that the design of the Series S is designed better for travel usage, which is nice to see, and I'm glad Microsoft has given people options. The Series X, aka the fridge, is a more powerful and more expensive option compared to the Series S, but I feel that it's going to be the one that more people will gravitate towards. 1 terabyte native storage, a 4K Blu-ray disc drive up to 8K resolution, 120 Hz, super fast loading compared to the Xbox One line of consoles, and a fridge-like appearance. It supports the same storage expansion cards that the Series S uses, so if you've got both systems and want to play, say, Dirt 5 on the Series X at home, and then you're taking a trip somewhere and you bring a Series S, the plug-and-play design of these storage expansion cards allows for seamless storage in travel. If I had the money for both systems, I'd get both, but I don't. But if I had to choose one, I'd choose the fridge. The Xbox Series fridge. I mean, the Series X.
So I do want to point something out. I was kind of hoping that we would get an image with both the S and the X along with the PS4 physical and digital. But it's
just imagine a smaller one of the thing on the left, but in white and without the disc drive.
And it looks like a domino. Literally, you could just push it over.
The other thing is that I opted for the S the last time because I don't have a 4K TV, and also I don't need a shit ton of storage. And because I was wondering, because now I don't have to put the disc for Doom in. I bought the physical copy. I don't have to put that in anymore to play the game. And I do have an external drive. So I'm wondering how much of my game stuff can be put to the next console.
Oh,
and
if you're wondering about like what games can and cannot be played on the new consoles, I'll get into that later. So don't worry, just sit tight.
All right.
Some of the games, but it's rather if I had bought a physical copy. That's what it was sourced from.
So that's the fridge. Do you want to talk about the Wi-Fi router?
Yes. Now that we've taken care of Microsoft's hardware side of things, we must talk about the console releasing on November 12th. Sony's entry, the PlayStation 5, which does share a similar lineup compared to Microsoft consoles, but it's complicated. The regular version, dubbed the base version, will cost $500, whereas the digital-only version will cost $400.
Which is the picture you see which is the picture you see right there.
Is that what it is?
I think so. I don't know where the disc drive is on the main PS5, but the base version is $500, where the digital-only version is $400. The price gap between the Series S and Series X makes sense because you're paying more for more power and more storage and whatnot. This seems illogical. Disc drives do not cost $100, and it feels like a cheap shot towards consumers. If it's only for Blu-ray discs, which is what later PS3 games and onwards were, still doesn't make any sense. You could get a cheap Blu-ray player for like $30-$40 nowadays. 4K Blu-ray players, we have a different HDMI port, and the discs are a little bit, more expensive. Not that much more expensive than a Blu-ray. Gotta say, from a yes, they do cost more, but they really don't cost me that much more to produce. I don't know.
I think it's because Sony owns the property.
Sony owns the
Blu-ray.
rights to the Blu-ray technology. And speaking of the base PS5, it can't play CDs, yet the Xbox Series X can play music CDs.
So fun fact, the PS4 could not play CDs either. So this isn't actually the first time we've seen this before.
Yeah, and the Xbox One, that can play music CDs.
Yeah, I can. I played my
Sony,
Metallica live in Baltimore
People
CD.
still buy CDs.
Oh.
That was the last CD I bought, probably, the Metallica live in Baltimore show.
The last CD I bought was S&M 2 when that released. It uses a slightly less powerful AMD CPU, 3.5 gigahertz, but from what I can tell, is on par a graphics unit. It's got less cores, but it's got a higher gigahertz than gigahertz output / speed for the Series X. The disc drive doesn't support music CDs, unlike the Series X. Again, stupid. If you want the most storage between the two, the internal 825 gigabyte solid state drive is also compatible with an NVMe M.2 solid state drive, which is what you're seeing in most modern PCs, and honestly, it's the future of storage, in my opinion. It also allows for an externally USB powered hard disk drive, which is something that I don't know if it's confirmed that the Xbox Series S and X will support those, but we'll probably hear more about that on launch day and later. With two USB 3.1 ports, a USB 2.0 port, and a USB-C port, you've got more overall USB ports compared to both Xbox units. The new DualSense controller has adaptive triggers with haptic feedback through voice coil actuators. So you'll be able to feel like you actually have to put down more pressure when you're cocking an arrow back.
Making the shit that you did back when you were a kid, making that matter now.
Yes. It's for example, you'll be able to feel the actual anti-lock brake system activate in Gran Turismo 7 in the brake trigger whenever that releases, because that's not a launch title, I can tell you that much. And the controller is USB-C, so that USB-C port on the PlayStation 5 does make sense. So it's going to be USB-C to USB-C. Plus, it's got a better speaker, a new built-in microphone, and has a better battery. Thought I'd talk about the controller here instead of later, because it made more sense. And I didn't have much to talk about for hardware this time, because there really aren't two separate systems from the same company. So let's get into some of the accessories.
Of course.
As mentioned above, the DualSense controller is an improvement on the DualShock 4, and I'll get into that controller when I bring up software, but sit tight. The Series X and Series S controller is an updated version of the current version of the Xbox One wireless controller with the same buttons, sticks, triggers as before. Included now is a share button like the DualShock 4 and DualSense controllers, making it easier to create and post screenshots and clips. It works pretty much damn near identical the capture button on the Nintendo Switch, either the Joy-Con, a Pro controller, or just a wired controller. So that's nice. I do like that. It's also quote-unquote it's designed to work on both the Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X. Thank you.
That is a godsend. Like the fact that the Xbox One controller can work for the Xbox Series X on Xbox Series X games. That's huge. Huge.
All you're missing out on is that share button, which for some people it doesn't even fucking matter. Mm-hmm. So you're actually able to use this newer controller because it's based on the same technology and same platform as the Xbox One controllers. So you can use your brand new Series X/Series S controller on your Xbox One and your Series S, or if you want to stick with old reliable, and this also means that your USB-powered Xbox One controllers work with the Series X and S as well, you can use those as an option. Some changes are the D-pad has now emerged between the standard and elite variants of the current Xbox One controller, meaning more precise control with the D-pad. Unlike
I noticed that it has like the little. I have my Xbox controller in my hand right now. It doesn't have the between down, left, and right, whatever thing.
Unlike the DualSense, and unlike honestly just dual PlayStation controllers in the past, you can still use two AA batteries or a rechargeable battery pack that's powered/charged by a USB-C. So in that case, it's that USB. It's the main USB port that you've seen for 20, 30 years to USB Type-C. It also supports Bluetooth Low Energy like the current Xbox One controllers. That means that you'll be able to connect it to most, if not all, Bluetooth compatible devices, so tablets, cell phones, computers. You can just grab your controller and go. You'll be able to use your new controller to play Project xCloud games, which is Microsoft's streaming service that actually works and is actually worth the money, on your phone with ease. Most accessories developed for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, like racing wheels and fight sticks, will be compatible with PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series line of consoles, with some exceptions. But if you recently got a Logitech G29 or G920 racing wheel, you'll be able to use them on the new consoles because thank you.
Yes.
So games, well, Microsoft and Sony will have games developed for their respective systems and also have releases for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 platforms as well.
PlayStation exclusives.
Backwards compatibility, however, is a different story. Every single game playable on the Xbox One today, meaning all Xbox One titles and the games that were selected from the 360 and original Xbox that you can play on the Xbox One, which run flawlessly with no faults whatsoever, and that sometimes they even run better than they did on their original hardware. They will be playable on the new systems with no strings attached. Wow. I love that. I love that so much. You have access immediately to 4 generations of consoles, no strings attached. Then again, if you only own digital titles, you got to download them. If you have the Series X and you have the discs, just pop the discs in, it'll install. Boom. PlayStation 5 will not share the same software compatibility. With the exception of like 15 games, and Ubisoft has come out this week and said that some of their games like Assassin's Creed Syndicate will not work on the PlayStation 5. They've also said that PlayStation 4 games will not run flawlessly, unlike what Microsoft is bringing to the table. Sony has always been screwy with backwards compatibility throughout the years. For the PlayStation 2, made absolute sense to have backwards compatibility. I think all you needed was like a PlayStation 1 compatible memory card to save your games. That was it. You could pop in the disc. Bob's your uncle. The PS3 in of itself was not only super hard to develop games for, hence why there's not a whole lot of backwards compatible stuff on the PlayStation 4 from the PS3, and a lot of PS3 games just got remasters on the PS4. The PS3, for the systems themselves, were confusing as to what you could or could not play on them. Original fat model PS3s could play PS2 and PS1 games. Then it was just PS1 games on the original design of the PlayStation 3, and then the Slims could only play PlayStation 1 games if you own the CDs, but you could also download PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 titles off the PlayStation Store for every version of the PS3. And then there's the Super Slim. Only plays PS3 discs and Blu-rays, nothing else. Everything else is digital.
The Super Slim!
And then the PlayStation 4 removed all backwards compatibility entirely, but brought it back with the shit streaming service known as PlayStation Now. It's dumber than a bag of hammers for sure. And not only according to...
I'm just going to say this.
Let me speak.
I'm just going to say this.
Let me speak. Go ahead. And according to Ubisoft and Sony, there could be errors with some PlayStation 4 games being played on the PlayStation 5. What the fuck, Sony? I understand not being able to add PS3 support because the architecture for the PlayStation 3 was complicated as all fuck. But if Xbox can do it, you can do it for PlayStation 4 games and not have, big bugs. I've also heard that you can't use the DualShock 4 for PlayStation 5 games, but you can use the DualSense controller for PlayStation 4 games. What the hell is going on here?
Again, but we have exclusives!
Just do what Microsoft's doing. It's not that hard.
So high and mighty bullshit.
There are a lot of launch titles for both systems like Dirt 5 and Watch Dogs Legions that have already been released for previous systems, but support things like Microsoft's Smart Delivery System and, in some cases, enhanced for Series S/X capabilities, meaning higher resolution and frame rate support. So, if you own, like I said, digital copies of games, and even then physical copies, they will have to be reinstalled to the storage, but other than that, all your saves will be transferred over because of cloud saves. Thank you, Xbox, for doing that. And I also believe Sony does that, but I could be wrong. But games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is Tell Me Why, which is Xbox exclusive, and Sackboy Big Adventure, PlayStation exclusive, are all going to be launch titles we'll talk about next week. And we'll also talk about I'll mention games that have been previously released for, PlayStation, Microsoft and PC and whatnot. But you will not be starved for games to play when the Xbox Series X/X and PlayStation 5 release on November 10th and November 12th, respectively. And to recap, the Series X will be $499. The Series S will be $299. Whereas the PS5 in its digital edition will be $499 for the base model and $399 for the digital edition. Again, launch titles we're talking about next week because there's a lot of them.
Okay, so I've been waiting to talk about this for a while. So here's the thing. I'm a huge PS5 fan. I love the PS5. I love Sony. I love their products. But I can't deny that everything that the PS5 is doing, the Xbox Series X is doing so much better. I can't deny that because and here's the thing. I don't even like Microsoft's works because 75% of their market is shooting games, which I don't really care for. But at the same time, I can't deny that the fact that you have backwards compatibility with with most, if not all, of its consoles, at least in terms of digitally. You have the fact that it can play, that you don't have to shell out extra money for an exclusive Xbox, an Xbox Series X controller. You just need to get an Xbox One controller, and that will work just as good. You have the fact that it can do everything so much better than the PS5 can. And what really just astounding to me, that you would at least think that Sony's PS5 Sony would learn from this, that people care about backwards compatibility. But the fact of the matter is that they look at data, they look at charts, they look at things that are more cost effective, they look at things that people really love, they look at focus groups, they look at all of these different things. And it's one of the things that just really aggravates me to the part where like I really feel like they could have done these things. Like I really feel like because someone told me, and I don't know if this is true, but someone told me that the Xbox platform has always been made from off-the-shelf PC components. An example, in x86 hardware architecture. It's just a matter of writing an emulator.
I mean, if you think about it, it's a modified version of Windows 10 meant for gaming. That's literally what the Xbox One is. It is it's essentially, technically the architecture is different, but at the end of the day, it's Microsoft. They've built the Windows OS. They can build the Xbox OS using the Windows OS.
Yeah.
As for Sony, they have to build all that from scratch.
Yes, correct.
So, but due to the PS2 and PS3 having their own unique hardware architectures, like he said, it's just not worth the money they'd spend on developing it. And I was looking at that, and I was sitting, I don't know if I can agree with all of that, because I really feel like they could do it if they really tried, if they really just worked on it. But then again, Sony and focus groups and charts and looking at which is popular, which is going to make them the most money. And, it's hard. It's really hard to determine, because, there's the whole Xbox versus Sony, and then you have Nintendo off to the side, trying to speak up, but Xbox goes, shh, child, the adults are talking, which is kind of which I always found it kind of funny. But I don't know. I like, here's the thing. I can't even though I am not an Xbox fan, I can't deny that the Xbox is doing really well. That this is a new place to go to. As for the architecture, yeah, call it a fridge, but you know what? I mean, I understand that, Xbox is trying so hard to look like a PC, but, you also have to wonder, well, it is kind of Microsoft and they own Windows. So yeah, kind of, I mean, but then and then I look at, Sony's, shape of the model, and it's super tall, like really tall, like the tallest console I think I've ever seen. I was looking at
thick.
It is dummy thick. Like, let me tell you,
it's not dummy thick,
slim thick.
I don't know.
Put it in the chat.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I also hope that there was rumored to also be a edition in black, because I'm not a fan. I will have to say I'm not a fan. Now that I look at it now, I'm not kind of a fan of the architecture of the PS5. Not that I'm, really affected by aesthetics, but to the point where it's like, I'm looking at this.
I mean, beyond where people were just memeing the design and everything.
Yeah, like the white with black. Like Sony's products have always been slick. They've always been a solid color. I really feel like if they just made that entire console white, it would have, with the blue hue, it would have looked good. But then, I don't know if Nintendo would have gotten upbeat about that, because their Nintendo Wii was white. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, just not a fan of the white and black color combo. But I'm especially not a fan. Aesthetics are one thing, but performance is a completely different story. I'm not a fan that the PS5 can't do backwards compatibility. I'm not a fan that, I mean, now that I think about it, yeah, I am kind of not a fan that they're charging a little less than 100, because, they don't have the backwards compatibility that Windows has, and it's $200 less. That's a huge deal. Do you realize that is a huge deal? So, I really think it's a crapshoot at this point. I can't say that both of these consoles are going to be unsuccessful, but I do think that
the pre-orders have sold like fucking hotcakes.
Oh yeah. I can't say that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are going to be unsuccessful products, because they look very successful.
Sony shit the bed hard with the pre-order scandal.
Mm-hmm. So, So, you know, my eyes are on the Xbox Series X for doing better than the PS5 if I really want to get technical into console wars, but let's be honest here. I'm looking...
Sorry, in terms of pure software available to play at launch, no question about it, the Xbox Series X and Series S have the floor mopped.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's not even close. I think that the thing is that right now, Xbox was much more prepared for this generation launch. Granted, PlayStation 5, I think this is like just how, you know, rivalries go back and forth, and like people are calling this the console wars, that PlayStation had the advantage the previous generation. Now it's Xbox turn for revenge, and I guess that's just how it's going to happen, you know. For me, I just have an Xbox. The only game I've been playing on it recently has been the DLC for Doom Eternal. So the thing I was wondering is, because I bought the physical copy of the game, but now there was an update with Doom Eternal, and now I don't have to put the disc in anymore to play the game.
Interesting.
That's what I was wondering. I don't know
if that was something to deal with. Like, do you have Xbox Game Pass or anything like that?
I don't. No, I don't have to.
That would be.
I can play it without the disc.
Because that would be the only reason why you wouldn't need to do that.
I don't know if it was part of the game update, because the game did have to update, and it updated. It updated at a terrible moment. It updated immediately after I had finished a fight against the Marauder, which fucking nerfed the Marauder in Doom Eternal. It's the most annoying ass enemy. I mean, granted, not that hard one-on-one, but when you have two of them, you have to understand how the Marauder works. The Marauder demands your fucking attention. But whatever.
But
you know.
But you know what I'm trying to say. I really do think that Xbox Series X has this in the bag. They're gonna make the most money, I think, in this console war. And then, of course, we still have Nintendo off by the side, you know, just not really giving a shit. They're still waiting for, you know, Nintendo Switch Pro Lite, whatever. I don't give a shit. So, but yeah, that's all I have to say regarding the Xbox Series X and the PS5, or as I like to call it, the fridge versus the Wi-Fi router, because let's be honest, that looks like a fucking Wi-Fi router. It really does.
I mean, call it what it is, and we did. Calls them as we sees them.
Anyway, that is all I have to say regarding the Xbox Series X and the PS5. As always, Naka, you have a lot of video games to talk about next week, don't you?
Yeah, don't remind me, please. Don't remind me. I have, I can officially say now that in probably, I don't know when this is going up, but sometime in the next couple of months on Super Let's Play Heroes or at Super LP Heroes, I have participated in a race, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, where I got third spot, but I'm kind of saying this now, spoilers, sorry, gold, but I'm free to talk about this, and the people in the Discord are also free to talk about this. And, you know, there's people who communicate in other Discord servers who are free to talk about it. Though Gold doesn't watch, I don't care. But, and I hope I can get everything done before next Saturday, because I'm in another race for the channel, where I'm playing Revolt, which is a classic PC RC racing game. But I'm hoping to get everything done this week, and then I don't have to worry about it, and then we can do the show Sunday, excuse me. I had the race on the brain. But, yeah, next weekend's going to be a busy one for me, seeing as how it's championship weekend in NASCAR. It's not... And then, actually, in 2 weeks, it's also the 12 Hours of Sebring. That's going to be on Saturday, not Sunday. So, I got a busy couple weekends ahead of me. But now... it is now time for Scarfy with movies, and unfortunately,
I've had to lead off several sections of death, and now it is
Yeah.
His turn.
Yeah.
And it's not the first one of this season, I believe. So
I think it's probably technically the third. Second formal.
Third and fourth.
Well, we
Especially
start
who
off
you
this.
ask.
We start off this episode's film segment with some devastating yet almost commemorating news. Sir Thomas Sean Connery, one of the most prolific actors in Britain, recognized best for his well-known role as the legendary spy James Bond, has sadly passed away at the age of 90, peacefully in his sleep in the Bahamas at Nassau on October 31st, Halloween morning. Born in Scotland, serving the Royal Navy for the United Kingdom, he struck it big time, playing the legendary 007 agent in 6 of the 25 Bond films: Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever, before passing the baton to Roger Moore, who would take over for filming Bond, later returning to a film not in the era with Never Say Never Again, his last known Bond film. However, that wouldn't be the final time we ever see Sean Connery. He would be known for playing in other films such as Barney, Murder on the Orient Express, 1974, The Man Who Would Be King, A Bridge Too Far, Highlander, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and got much critical success in The Name of the Rose, The Untouchables, and returned in a spy movie once again in The Hunt for Red October, who played the captain of the famous submarine. Being nominated and winning multiple awards in those 3 films, including an Academy Award for his supporting actor performance in The Untouchables. I guess it's safe to say at least he lived out October to its last day. Knighted by Her Majesty in 2000, Sean Connery in 2006 had announced that he was officially retiring from Hollywood altogether, effectively disappearing from the media and living a life in secrecy. In 2010, a bronze bust sculpture of Connery was placed in Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. I've only ever seen one Bond film from Connery, which was Goldfinger, and only ever saw him in Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, which he played Indiana Jones's father, which is just ingenious banter. I heard many great things about this man, and in Hollywood, he's had his ups and downs, but people will always remember him most as Bond. And he played Bond very well. The best way to honor a man's death is to celebrate their life. I'd be grateful to have that dash of time.
Yeah, I want to say that I haven't seen a ton of. I've seen, I think, Goldfinger and some of the other ones around that era, but the one that my dad, I guess, insisted that I saw and then I ended up seeing was the OG, which was Dr. No, with, of course, Sean Connery, and I thought that was really good movie. I don't think that he was in Casino Royale. I think that was Daniel Craig era, but still, I think that Sean Connery. I mean, I included this picture because I knew that we have a picture of what Sean Connery looks like, and then him at basically what he was known as. He was James Bond. Like he was the guy for James Bond originally. He was the OG James Bond. I think I've seen Goldfinger, and I think I've also seen Thunderball. I think those are the ones I've seen with him as James Bond.
And guys, I want to talk to you about. I want to tell you guys something very, very. I just kind of want you to imagine in your heads this idea playing out. To die in your sleep at the age of 90, peacefully living a full life in the Bahamas, while the waves crash on the sandy shores, while a soft, warm, zephyr-like breeze blows in the wind with a serene electricity in the air, with the possible glass or bottle of unfinished wine, or in Sean's case, an unfinished martini, shaken, not stirred. I must confess, that's not a bad way to go. That really is not a bad way to go. What do you have to say, Naka?
Well, he had a retirement plan.
He lived it out, it would say.
Whoa, that's his retirement plan. He's going to have a garden out in the middle of the planet in the buttfuck nowhere. But no, seriously, all jokes aside, when such a prolific actor passes away, everybody around the world hurts. I saw a picture that the Israeli Defense Force posted on Twitter when the announcement happened. yesterday or 2 days ago. That in the 60s or early 70s, I believe it was in Iraq. He posed with a higher up in the Israeli Defense Force at the time, in front of an Iraqi MiG-21 that was numbered 007.
Oh wow!
When something from that far back in the Israel Defense Force posts that, he had an impact around the world, and some of the a lot of the cars that were featured in the Bond films wouldn't be known without Sean Connery. The DB5 would not have the same pop culture significance and car culture significance if it weren't for the James Bond films. I forget which specific movie that it was, but he drives a Toyota brought out the 2000 GT, which could be argued as Japan's first supercar. Sean Connery was too tall to sit in the car, so what does Toyota do? They build a couple examples of a convertible version of the 2000 GT. When a manufacturer builds a car so that an specifically so that an actor can drive it in a movie, it's special.
You got some. That's why you got some respect on the name.
And to be humorous for a second, take this as you will, but whenever Sean Connery was on Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL, it was always a great time. Because, it's poking fun at Sean Connery, but Sean Connery would probably laugh at those jokes too.
Right.
And,
but what do you have to...
When I first... please let me finish. When I first heard everything that went on, all I could think of was Brock Baker's first 101 impressions in 4 minutes or less when he does the Sean Connery impression. You've won my sweepstakes. Now here are some cornflakes. And not that Sean Connery actually said that, because it was later revealed that Brock's roommate at the time would say that in Sean Connery's voice. It's I don't know. It's just there's so much about Sean Connery's filmography that's so good. Bond wouldn't be where it is today without Sean Connery. The Hunt for Red October would not be as successful of a movie without Sean Connery. And hell, you know what? That's, living on a nice tropical island, with beachside property, warm weather, dying peacefully in your sleep. That's, it's tragic, but it's not a bad way to go out.
Again, we had another person who had, like Eddie Van Halen, who had passed, with, like, at the best possible way. I think that, with, James Bond and everything, I think that this came up before Sean Connery passed. My dad somehow, my dad and I were in the room and we saw something about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen come up on TV, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that movie. And my dad was like, oh, that's a great movie. Now I'm gonna have to go back and try to find that movie, because it features, of course, the man himself. And I assigned the visual, and I'm like, you know what? Let's put some respect on the name, because he was knighted, Sir Thomas Sean Connery. I think that this is like, I understand how this is for music, for how it would be for music, and now it is for movies. Like, this is a guy who wasn't like super active, I guess, late in his life, but who had because he had done so much he built what James Bond was to many people in that time, in addition to the many other movies he was featured in, which one of them is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is one that I myself still need to see.
But yeah, I will have to say I kind of teared up when Naka kind of talked about, how Sean Connery passed. Just the image is playing in my head about the, you know, dying in the Bahamas, man. I
dude,
can't.
I've been to the Bahamas, and like, if you're there on like a really peaceful evening, like, it's like you're at no better state of mind. So I think that he's definitely like he passed definitely like the best circumstance that he could have passed in.
I agree. That I'm pretty sure the beaches.
I've been to Paradise Island. I don't know if we were at Nassau or we've been to Nassau. I might have flown there, but yeah, I think that he definitely was surrounded by the best of care and definitely people who cared for him. And I imagine his family is definitely grieving and all that. Wish them the best. And again, you have another death to a legend. I think this is what happened with like Eddie Van Halen, but in the inverse of our show. It's like you gotta pay tribute to that they were the best at their game, so you pay tribute to that and like just recognize who they are and recognize what they've done.
But I will have to say, guys, it's not a bad way to go. That really is not a bad way to go at all. He will be remembered. Let's go in peace, Sean. Go in peace. And I'm pretty sure he did.
Agent 007 reporting for final duty.
Yeah, so I'm bringing up the Toyota 2000 GT again really quickly. The 2000 GT made its most famous screen appearance in the 1967 James Bond movie You Only Live Twice, which was brought up in the chat, most of which was filmed in Japan. 2 one-off topless models, convertible models, fitted only with tonneau covers to simulate functioning convertible roofs, were made specifically for the film. It is claimed as a Targa and had been considered to accommodate the burly 6'2" Sean Connery. That's
to make a car that was big enough for him.
And Bond actor Daniel Craig voted the 2000 GT as his favorite Bond car of all time. It's insane what Sean Connery did to spur on the kind of cultural icon, the car cultural icon of the 2000 GT.
Yeah, it was like the cool spy car and everything. I think that Sean Connery was an actor who kind of escaped the like people are. I guess the example I'd point to is that Nathaniel Ratcliffe, not Nathaniel Ratcliffe, but Radcliffe, fucking the man who plays Harry Potter. You know what I'm talking about. It's
Daniel
like
Radcliffe.
Daniel. I was thinking of Nathaniel, the music artist. Sorry, I got the mix up. But yeah, a guy who didn't get stuck with appearing as the same role for his whole career. But yeah, cars and everything have been definitely, cars and the pistol that he uses. I forget the name of it, but yeah, it's very iconic. That snub nose pistol has been very iconic with the 007 movies and everything.
I just want to read something from Daniel Craig. If for those of you who don't know, he is the current James Bond. He said, pardon me, "It is with such sadness that I heard of the passing of one of the true greats of cinema. Sir Sean Connery will be remembered as Bond and so much more. He defined an era and a style. The wit and charm he portrayed on screen could be measured in megawatts. He helped create the modern blockbuster." Yeah, he sure as hell did. He will continue to influence actors and filmmakers alike for years to come. My thoughts are with his family and loved ones. Wherever he is, I hope there is a golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I forget the name of it, but yeah, there is the signature pistol. I think it's the PPK or something. It has I have an image of it, but it has a very snub nosed image, and that was the one he'd always pull out from his pocket and everything. Like that was as much a defining feature for spies as it was for his car and everything. Like, you know, I think that he just really was, you know, a defining an era defining actor. You know, because when the spy movies were being a big thing, and I found a very interesting. That's great. No Time to Die, so Sean.
But yeah, that's
lost my train of thought. But yeah,
there's not much for me to say on this particular matter, other than Sean Connery is he went out with the bang. He went out with the bang, and there's something so beautiful and so serene of a man who just, you know, he, like, just the way he passed away, and he was in the tropical islands, and just everything is so beautiful and so serene. I am not sad that he is gone. I am happy that he got to live a full life, and that is what he did. That is what he did.
I can tell you this, that Ian Fleming himself, if you want to know a random historical fact, Ian Fleming himself got the inspiration for James Bond when he met the man named Dushko Popov, who is a Eastern European spy who himself said, like, oh, this James Bond character is nothing. He was basically, Dushko Popov was basically the real life James Bond who, I guess you'd say he's the man who inspired the legend. But yeah, you know, I think that, you know, I think he went in the best ways possible, in that you have, it's kind of closing the book on a chapter of, you know, this is the last thing Sean Connery has done with James Bond, but he created a legend. He helped create a legend. And that, you know, put some respect on the name.
All right. Well, again, anything else you want to say on Sean Connery, Naka?
Let it snow for 800. That's let it snow, Mr. Connery. I'm trying to kind of uplift the mood, even though I'm not trying to disrespect Sean Connery. That's just another Celebrity Jeopardy SNL bit.
Let it know, Mr. Connery. I expect you today.
But, you know, unfortunately, we need to let him go as a topic and move on to let him go. I'm on
not
point.
many movies coming out. Not many movies coming out this week. We have one that may interest you, but it seems to me like it's at the very least a film to keep you entertained for the start of November. Let Him Go is an upcoming American drama film produced, written, and directed by Thomas Basucha, based on the 2013 novel of the same name by Larry Watson. It stars Diane Lane, Kevin Costner, and Leslie Manville. Upon the death of their son, a retired sheriff and his wife fight to rescue their widowed daughter-in-law and young grandson from a dangerous off-grid family. And yeah, that's about it. There's nothing really about this trailer for the film. If you want to say, there's nothing really about this trailer. Like, if you want to watch it to keep you occupied, you can, but I watch it and there's really not that much for me to say about it. It seems like every other drama thriller I've seen in any other movie. The film releases on November 6th.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
It's generic.
It's generic. It's just I don't even know what to say. It's just Naka, Krüz.
Nope, it's generic. It looks bad. Bad generic.
Family drama. I was like vaguely interested in like family drama, but then like, you know, it seems like something where like bad guys have too much of the upper hand and everything. I'm like, you know what? Not that much going on here. And this is one of the good rated movies with like with how, you know, YouTube like dislikes are being ratioed, which is cannot be said for some of the forthcoming one.
Yep. But well then,
I guess we're moving on rather quickly, huh?
Yeah, let's move on to our coming attractions.
Of course, and we're just going to stay on this particular still because I made it that way.
Yep.
Anyway, coming attractions. The first coming attraction that we have to talk about is a film that I just honestly don't understand why Michael Bay is even trying. A Songbird. A pandemic ravages the world and its city, centering on a handful of people as they navigate the obstacles currently hindering society: disease, martial law, quarantine, and vigilantes. Oh my god!
Why? We don't need this movie right now.
It's first of all, we're already at COVID-23. Fuck that shit. I mean, to say too soon is one thing, but to put it as, because pandemic movies are not a new phenomenon.
No,
we've had World War Z, we've had Contagion, and everything. Yeah, like all that, and the Slayer song Epidemic. Maybe the theme song of 2020, perhaps. But I think too soon and not well enough done. I don't think too soon is the only thing.
You know what this kind of reads out to me, in case people haven't already figured out. I'm pretty sure most of you have, but I'll just say it anyway. This kind of reads to me as, oh yeah, COVID-19 is happening. Why don't we make a movie to actually capitalize on it? Because that's exactly what we need, right?
Yeah, I think that. Well, here's the thing. Dead Meat, again, the channel. Let's shout out again. Covered REC, REC, a horror movie series created in Spain, and they've created at least 3 movies out of it. It's basically like you're shut down in this apartment, and then you don't know what the fuck's going on and everything. Yeah, there's exciting stuff with that, but if you're just reminding people of the situation they're in the same kind of lockdown situations that are realistically happening, you're not exactly going to excite many people. Because people are going to want to watch more extreme shit.
But I don't really know what to say. I really don't know what else to say. Naka?
Again, we don't really need something like this right now. Sorry.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to something a little more lighthearted with The Stand. A stand-in takes over an actress's career and identity after performing her community service for tax evasion.
Oh my god, Yoshi finally owned up to his crimes of tax evasion?
Yoshi!
I think you might have made a slight mistake, because this movie was called The Stand-In, and I thought, again, a lot of the YouTube comments thought this too, don't get me wrong. A lot of the YouTube comments thought, oh, this is a Stephen King story. This is The Stand. And then they're like, oh, shit. This is not the Stephen King story, The Stand. So yeah, it's not what you might have been thinking of.
So
the dislike ratio speaks for itself, I think.
I mean, it reminds me of the Family Guy episode where James Woods is like, I stole Peter's identity. I'm now Peter Griffin. And then Peter Griffin's like, well, nobody's James Woods. You can steal James Woods' identity and be James Woods.
Yeah, that works. All right. This kind of looks like a typical comedy. Not really much to say, but hey. I'm going to move on to a little more interesting trailer. What Lies Below? A socially awkward 16-year-old returns from 2 months at camp to a blindsided introduction of her mother's fiance, who's too perfect to be human.
Hi, how are you? Wonderful weather.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Regarding this film, I'm not too sure if it looks like very sci-fi-y, and that kind of looks pretty cool. I want to say what exactly is going on here. It does look interesting. At least the trailer looks interesting. Not sure how it's going to be received, but at least it's there. So
I mean, it kind of looks like a sci-fi / pseudo psychological horror film.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would have lean more towards thriller, I guess. But like, yeah, the one of the comments I read that said that led that this quote creeper guy was not the implication that he was not entirely human. Adds some frantic excitement because it's kind of like suburban horror. And what I mean about suburban horror, it's like suburban horror is kind of like where you think you're in a safe setting, but something really crazy happens and you're going door to door, but no one believes you. That, it's kind of like where you're surrounded by normal people, but no one believes what the fuck is happening. So I think that's going to be a decent, like, the approach to that this movie has, which I think, I'm interested to see if it works, out quite that way beyond just being a drama. But, I don't know. It looked pretty interesting from the trailer.
All right. Naka, anything you want to say?
No, I kind of already said what I was thinking. And now we move on to a movie that, sure...
Damn.
Thunder and lightning.
What were we gonna say?
Now we're just gonna move on to a movie that might be unrealistic, but I guess that's what we go to movies for: escape from reality.
The White Tiger. A poor Indian driver must use his wit and cunning to break free from servitude to his rich masters and rise to the top of the heap.
The Indian caste system is a garbage system.
Top of the heap of what? I don't know if this means that he was trying to. And yes, I've known because I'm a history major and I understand this. But if this was meaning that he was trying to rise to the top of the stuff in his own realm, versus, but he's saying like there was only one born every 1,000 years or something. I'm not really sure what this is trying to get at, but. It might be. It depends on what angle they're trying to take on it, because that can kind of get swallowed up in the hype of everything and how the trailers are presented.
So,
I don't know. The unfortunate truth is that the caste system in India leads to a lot of poverty and a lot misfortune.
Yeah, that much is true with how they're talking about.
There's way too much poverty in India. Let's be real here.
That is what they're talking about. That's something they're addressing, and yeah, that is true with how there's people with full bellies and not with full bellies. That is true.
And the current caste system attributes to that poverty.
But I'm not sure how this movie is trying to present that issue. It's not really clear to me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to see.
So we'll move on to, something else.
Yeah, we're going to move on to basically, I guess, the last of the queer-bending trilogy when it comes to music. Okay, let's be real here. Stardust, a gender-bending man who has talent for singing now, takes to the stars as he works to promote his new album. So, if you can't already tell about what kind of movie trailer this is literally about David Bowie. I mean, granted, yeah. There's I'm not going to say that this is a horrible idea, but
Highway Star.
But I will have to say, I feel like there is something interesting yet sad about this movie being made at the same time. It's like, well, we made a film about Queen and we made a film about Elton John. Let's make a film about
yeah, but the movie about Queen was good,
and the movie about Elton John was great.
Was better. Yes, was better.
I didn't end up seeing that, but I do want to see it because it was interesting because Taron Egerton ended up being just going from being in a movie with Elton John to being Elton John. So
and what did you think of that? You saw Rocket Man, Naka?
Yeah. I watched it with my dad a couple months ago. It's a great movie. Sure, there's a lot of stuff that's been Hollywood up, but it's a great movie.
So I don't really know don't really know what tone they're going to with this. I do know that David Bowie was an actor too. He wasn't just, in music. He was also in acting as well. So a lot of people are saying just watch The Man Who Fell to Earth. I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't be able to say much about it, but I will say this. I mean, yeah, like I just I don't want to say this movie is going to be bad, but at the same time, I feel like, Hollywood just finds it, it's about David Bowie. Let's make a movie about David Bowie since we've already made a movie about Bohemian Rhapsody, aka Queen and Freddie Mercury and Elton John. So it's like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a trilogy of queer musicians, or I fucked up the phrasing on that. I shouldn't have just used queer because that's incorrect.
Right.
I apologize. That was the wrong thing for me to say, but I don't know. It's just I can't remember. I'm kind of being phased on the studio behind this and who's producing it, but if it's anything, hopefully it's along the lines of Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, because
hopefully on the lines with Rocket Man, because Rocket Man was fantastic.
Yes.
But...
and that's really all I can say.
All right. Well, are we going to move on to the final trailer of the night?
Hey, as long as this last movie doesn't end up like Geostorm, then we're good.
Fucking Geostorm. I have no idea what the fuck happened with that.
The Midnight Sky. A lonely scientist and his daughter races to stop a captain and her fellow astronauts from returning home to a mysterious global catastrophe. So, yeah, we have George Clooney in this role, and I love George Clooney. Everything he touches is gold, maybe except for Batman, but still. I mean, George Clooney does a very good job. So
what's that? George Clooney's playing another spaceman? Gravity.
Spaceman.
Okay, I love
Gravity. Gravity's great. I'm not.
Gravity was so good. I was so hoping that film would win Best Picture, and then they gave it to 12 Years a Slave, which I was kind of disappointed by, but because I thought Gravity was the better picture.
I saw to be honest, I saw both. I don't know, if it was like super decisive thing of who you could give it to, but I think that Gravity was great with its atmospheric feel. 12 Years a Slave was very hard hitting.
Yes,
I will say with how it was presented and everything. Yeah, both those were very great, very well done movies.
So I want to like this movie, but at the same time, I'm not too sure if it's going to be great. But hey, it's releasing on Netflix, so at least there's that.
As long as it's not Geostorm.
You did not like Geostorm, did you?
Geostorm's such a good bad movie.
Was it 2012 levels of good bad? Like, I mean, the 2012 movie.
Like it's hard to explain, but it's not a good movie, but it's hilarious to watch.
Really? Wow.
It's one of those bad movies that you can't help but just laugh through it the whole time because it's so bad it's good, like 2012.
Yeah.
I know. Was it like that? The one thing I loved was that the guy he was driving the Russian jet. He's like, "Oh, come on, baby, lift your big ass."
Now, I remember I went to a live podcast of my brother, and me back in 2018, and before they got into the main show, it's like this one time, like one of the brothers was like, this one time I was on an airplane, and like as soon as this guy got on the plane, he immediately opened up the in-flight entertainment screen, started flipping through it, and when he saw Geostorm, he's like, "Yeah, Geostorm, yeah!"
Jesus Christ.
Little did we know he would unleash a plague upon us.
I wonder which one is worse. Geostorm has 17%, but Into the Storm has 21%, so not much of a difference.
No.
They're kind of both bad, so... Yeah, there's really... Yeah. want to like this trailer. I really do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes through. But yeah, that is it for the film segment. At least for that.
That is our agenda for today. Anything else that we would like to discuss that is not football? I warned you to earlier. Don't talk about football.
Yeah, well, allow me to bitch about my fantasy team sucking.
That's fair.
I'm done. Because DK Metcalf had a fucking field day, apparently. God fucking damn it! Alright, I'm done.
Vote. No, seriously, vote.
Yes, vote. I myself went and voted yesterday. I got it done in just a few minutes. Go and look at local places that are near you that are open if you are planning to vote in person. If you're not, well, I guess, hopefully you requested your ballot. If not, then have a plan to vote on election day. So go and do the thing, dude. Make time for it, just get it done. It's a thing to get done. I got done. I got a crappy I voted sticker from Maryland or whatever. It's whatever.
I have an I voted sticker that I'm holding right now in my hand. It's on a paper. That's the first time we've ever done that before. It's just
I threw the sticker on the paper.
The fact that we've rarely had to use that just speaks volumes as to how much I love these visuals, right?
Yeah. So, I too also voted 2 weeks ago.
I voted a month ago, and my vote has already been counted, so I don't have anything to worry about when it comes to that. But we have it's going to be guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm not looking forward to this week, but it's going to be an interesting week. That's really all I can say. I don't know how difficult the week is going to be, but we'll just have to wait and see what goes on. And so, all that good stuff. That's really all I have to say. So, yeah, that is it. That has been our show for tonight, folks.
Please vote. Please vote.
Yes.
If you are an American member of our audience currently listening to the live stream, because depending on when we get this out, the election might have already passed. But
is there a possibility, Naka, that what you have on screen, you can change the font any faster than it is? I would love to see just the font just going. Bah, 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 bah.
I can't though, because
I would be the one just spamming the different fonts and be like. This is why I'm not in control of these things.
But yeah, that is our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else you want to say, Naka?
Go vote.
All right, so can you make that disappear and go back to our main page?
Yes, fine.
Yeah, enough of all the voting shit. Early voting, as far as I know, with at least how it is in Maryland, early voting ends tomorrow. So tomorrow is your last chance to vote early, unless you want to vote on time on Super Tuesday and all that shit. Just make a plan to do it if you haven't already. If you have, that's great. I myself went and voted. I believe my co-hosts have also voted. So just get it done. Make a plan to do it. Just get it done. Just get it squared away. How do you call it?
And as always, my name is Scarfy.
I am Naka.
And I am Monsieur Krüz.
And this has been Subwoofer Entertainment. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time. Stay awesome, stay awesome, stay safe out there. Wash your hands, wear a mask if you go outside. Have yourselves a fantastic night. Stay awesome, stay awesome, have a good night.
And if you go out in public, socially distance, and remember, if you are watching the stream, to vote. Cannot stress this enough. Go vote.
Go vote. See you guys later.
Anyway,
we love you, but only if you voted.
Bye. See you next week.